28th of September, leaf miners. Leaf miners may well have already been noticed earlier in the year, especially in hollies, brambles, and sow thistles, but there are many other plants affected by these insects. It is usually either a moth, fly, sawfly, or perhaps a beetle larvae that chooses to make its unusual home between the upper and lower epidermis of a leaf. As these tiny creatures burrow their way through the leaf tissue, they create either a linear, serpentine, or blotch mine. This is one of the most unusual of environments, with the larvae literally always faced with food, but also enjoying the high humidity, as well as a certain amount of warmth created by its own waste left in the tunnel. Not surprisingly, these larvae tend to have rapid life cycles compared with their relatives elsewhere. Most have just one generation in the spring and then another in the autumn. This means you're unlikely to find any mines occupied in high summer, especially if it's a dry one, and there has been some shriveling of leaves. September is often when the second generation larvae start tunneling, or perhaps just pupae may be found resting at the end of the tunnels. Adults tend to emerge from these pupae in late autumn. Other than the plants already mentioned, mines tend to be found on favoured trees such as oak, birch, elder, and cherry, and in gardens, privet, lilac, wallflowers, carnations, and celery sometimes get attacked. Usually it is a tiny female that lays her tiny egg on the underside of a leaf, which then hatches and burrows into the leaf, going on to create the tunnel that we notice. The larvae will either choose to pupate at the end of its tunnel, uh, or remain active and pupate later in the soil after the leaf has fallen. You can usually get some indication of the insect involved by examining the tunnel more closely. If the larvae has left its frass, that is its waste, in two separate lines along the tunnel, then it's likely to be a fly. If no frass is visible, then it's usually a moth, and a lot of dark frass often indicates it was a sawfly. If there is a mass of silk threads, these are likely to be left by moths, and if the mines are straight, then again, this is more typical of flies. The mines themselves can also be different colours. Hollies and horse chestnuts have green blotches or brown mines, and sow thistles white ones. Midges are usually responsible for any raised purple spots that you might see on dandelions. Bramble mines come in a variety of different colours. They are usually white, but with some searching, yellow, green, silver, rust, black, blue, and even violet mines can be found. Some docks have a propensity to turn red, and so are prone to red mines. The mines produced by flies, moths, and beetles tend to be light green in colour. When these turn a different colour in the autumn, any mines often remain green and are then called by experts green islands. The mine that is impossible to miss this month in London is the one produced by the horse chestnut leaf miner moth. Some trees are so infested they are covered in brown blotch mines and are so stressed they may even attempt to flower again. The moths involved is aptly named Cameraria oridella, and large numbers of this tiny brown and white banded moth can sometimes be seen floating around the trunks of horse chestnuts earlier in the year. These trees that come into leaf so early in the spring are also one of the first to lose their leaves in the autumn. Catastrophic levels of infestation hasten this leaf loss. The moth was first described from Macedonia as recently as 1986, although it was believed to have originated in the Balkans. The story goes that some specimens were sent to an entomologist in Vienna, who, as usual, managed to let some escape. Once free, the moth proceeded to march across Europe, arriving in Wimbledon 16 years later in 2002. As up to 700 larvae can be found in a single leaf, the epidemic seems likely to continue, the future of the tree, first introduced in 1616 and known to have grown in John Tradiskant's garden, is now becoming uncertain.